How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Yell in a Cell podcast where we talk about all things pro wrestling. We did our weekend review just yesterday. Check it out. It's uploaded today on the channel, YouTube, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you listen to podcasts. Check it out. We talk about Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and AEW Dynamite. It was a good time there. And now we're going to be talking about our predictions for Elimination Chamber, which is tonight. And a weird card, to be frank. We talked about it, yesterday and how some matches will turn out. But general excitement for this, JP?
I'm excited, but also kind of a little scared because, with that excitement comes a little bit of reservation. Like, oh no, something bad is going to happen. Like, this is different. It's a different excitement from the Rumble. The Rumble, it was an excitement because, like, oh, you really generally like didn't know who was going to win. But like right now for the Elimination Chamber, I'm just like, oh boy, some of these matches, like there's some things that can go extremely wrong here.
Yeah, I mean, also we're right in the mix of the road to WrestleMania, so things could change here, or they could play it really safe. Well, let's just start off with I would think is one of the first matches on the card, right? So it was originally supposed to be Asuka versus Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's Title, but obviously this past Monday, Lacey said that she was pregnant. Um, Fortunately, it's real. Good for Lacey Evans. For the storyline, it's really bad, but I'm gonna assume because the match is still going on, right? I mean, like they haven't changed it or anything, so I don't think she's wrestling, obviously. So what I want you to do, JP, is that I want you to give who you think that will be the replacement and who if they're gonna win or not. So I'll start first with this one. I'm gonna play it very safe. I'm just gonna say that they're gonna replace the match with Peyton Royce in there. Just for the fact that Lacey Evans, they've been partners pretty much ever since the Iconics broke up. That's been sort of the partnership that's been going on there. The last Monday on that tag team match, Peyton Royce was kind of filling in and fighting Asuka and Charlotte all by herself. It was doing a pretty damn good job at that. So I would think that maybe they'll put her in there, maybe have Rick out there. I don't know. But I've heard a lot of other rumors. I'm playing it very safe here. And I think Asuka's going to win, by the way, against Peyton Royce. But I've heard Rhea Ripley be a name be mentioned and, to make her Raw debut. And I think that would be awesome. But I'll play it safe. I'm going to say it's Peyton Royce. And I think that Asuka does beat Peyton Royce and defend her title. I do want to say, though, if Lacey Evans was in this match, I might have had picked her to win the title. Maybe just to piss JP off, or two, because I actually think so, and I think they would do that. But I'll say Peyton Royce, and then Asuka beats her. What do you think, JP?
All right, so I have a realistic prediction and a bold, wild, like out of the box prediction.
Okay.
My realistic prediction is it's going to be Charlotte Flair. She never like legitimately lost that number one contendership match. She just kind of got DQ'd. They can play that into the story, and it just seems like out of the people that are available, she is the best option in terms of storyline. However, and I want you to hear me out on this. Hear me out. Ric Flair. Asuka faces Ric Flair in standing in for Lacey Evans for the Raw Women's title. Listen.
Okay. Wait, hold on. I don't know if I want to listen to this.
Hear me out. All right. Ric Flair, dirtiest player in the game. Schoolboy roll up, gets the win over Asuka. Everybody gets what they wanted. Charlotte Flair versus Ric Flair at WrestleMania, the battle of the Flairs, with Ric Flair standing in for Lacey Evans. The stories write themselves. It's right there.
Now, what do you mean it's right there?
I think there is a snowball's chance in how that happens. But the WWE has done some wild stuff before. They set a man on fire. They almost had somebody killed with a pickaxe. I think we all remember Katie Vick. This can happen. It can happen. I'm just putting it out there so people aren't shocked when Ric Flair is in there rolling up Asuka for the win.
So I mean, here's the thing, right? Um, I hate that. Here's why I think I hate it even more than the actual match and stuff, because usually when a match gets made, the commentators always say that Adam Pearce signs off on it. Adam Pearce is going to sign off on Ric Flair versus Asuka at the Chamber.
Yes.
Then okay, then I guess
What
so.
could happen is, what if Lacey shows up and like right before the match starts, he's like, "Yeah, I can't wrestle." Like it's like literally right before the match starts. Ric Flair struts on out there in the 3-piece suit, does his little the Ric Flair strut, woos for a little bit, gets kicked in the face by Asuka. Lacey Evans distracts her because she's at ringside. Ric Flair gets the schoolboy victory.
How about we don't do this?
I don't want it to happen, but I have seen worse.
Have you?
Yes.
I mean, here's the thing. In terms of story, right? I think the Fiend being set on fire is more realistic than Ric Flair being the Raw Women's Champion.
Well, Ric Flair technically isn't the Raw Women's Champion. Lacey Evans is via a Ric Flair surrogate.
Okay,
And it
I'm done
plays
with
into
this.
the story.
I'm done with this. I'm done with this. Um,
Look,
okay.
hear me out. This is a galaxy brain thing that I thought of yesterday at like 1 a.m. I'm like, man, they could have Ric Flair win the title as a stand-in for Lacey Evans. But then the question would be, what do you do at WrestleMania?
Will you do Charlotte Flair versus Ric Flair WrestleMania?
How would Asuka play into that? Because she claimed it wouldn't be fair.
No, screw Asuka. No, like no. I mean, screw Asuka because she's not obviously not important. She's not important. She's important enough to get rolled up, but to lose JP. She's lost so far in a Raw Women's title career because she got it first by Becky Lynch, obviously giving it to her because of the Money in the Bank. She lost to Sasha Banks, which was crazy because I mean she won by count out or something. Because of like that was when Baylor like beat up Kyrie Sane in the back or something like that. Um, but before that, whatever. So the two people she loses to, I mean Sasha Banks, okay, and Ric Flair, JP.
Ric Flair is recognized as one of the 4 people on the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling. I don't
Okay,
think that's a problem. Oh my God, why
okay.
am I like this?
Why am why am I like this? No, but JP, okay. The two-time Hall of Famer is gonna win the Raw Women's Champion. How old is he? He would easily be the oldest. How old?
71.
There you go. Okay, I'm done talking about this.
If
Okay.
Sting is out there in a street fight and Tully Blanchard is having matches in 2021, let Ric Flair be the women's champion. It's the one title he hasn't won.
I think there's a reason why. Okay. And you said it.
Like
The right.
pro wrestling has melted my brain.
So just to recap, I think that our two realistic options to replace Lacey Evans, I think it will be Peyton Royce, and JB thinks it will be Charlotte Flair. Both of those are very likely options. Do you think Charlotte will win over Asuka, or do you think Asuka will retain there?
Oh man, I think Asuka will win, but I don't think it'll be clean.
Okay, I think. Yeah, I don't think so. I think if that's gonna happen, then Rick might get involved. And now thinking about it, I think Charlotte Flair would be it. But I'm gonna say with Peyton Royce, we'll see. But I want Rhea Ripley to come out. That would be great if she was a replacement. I don't know if she'll win it off of Asuka, but that'll be great. And JP thinks that Ric Flair will challenge Asuka. So
I want chaos and madness. Ric Flair being in that match.
it's amazing.
Madness.
I feel like what you're saying here is so weird and backward just because you have been vocal about how much you hate this storyline, how much you hate it. And then you just want to fuel it even more by Ric Flair being.
I want to hate this even more. I'm pouring gasoline onto the fire.
Maybe I think you need help.
I need to go see that therapist that Daniel Bryan and Kane went to.
Oh my God.
If anybody has their number, let me know. I need help.
And it's a cry for help. So just to recap again, I think it's Peyton Royce. I think Oscar retains. JP thinks it's Charlotte Flair, and Oscar retains again. So we'll move on because that was just not a good start to the show whatsoever because of
We got
JP.
off on a great foot.
Yeah. But we move on to another women's division matchup. It's the women's tag team champions being defended. That Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler will face Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. And I've expressed my kind of like, I really don't like this just because the supposed number one contenders are Naomi and Lana. And you can say that in number two is Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai because they won the Dusty Cup. They get that chance. Literally, Naomi and Lana won it a couple of weeks ago in a match, beat Charlotte and Asuka, and I think it was Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Nah, screw them. Because they're obviously not the number one contenders. It's Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair because they were in a 6-man tag where Reginald pinned Nia Jax. Ask them, not me. So that's the match at Elimination Chamber. I'll let you start on this one, JP. Who do you think is going to win? Who do you want to win? Any shenanigans might happen? What's going to happen here?
So I think and want Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax to win. Like you said, this really doesn't make any sense because Lana and Naomi are the number one contenders. They should have this match. They're the rightful owners of this match. But you can't have a pay-per-view and not have your Royal Rumble winner for the Women's Royal Rumble or the SmackDown Women's Champion on the card. And I don't think it's feasible or smart to have Sasha Banks face Carmella a third time in a row. So they really kind of just well, what do? We need to get, because Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair are two of the most popular wrestlers in the WWE right now. They need to be on the card. So they kind of just well, how do we get them on there? Give them a tag title match. And it really just feels less about the tag titles than it does about Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. So that's why I think Baszler and Jax are going to retain. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being on the kickoff show or if this is the opening match, because I don't know if there's going to be any shenanigans for Reginald. I don't know what's going on with Reginald. But yeah, this is another one of those matches that feels kind of weird because why do they get the match?
I mean, I just think it's weird. I mean, you already have two teams who are, I mean, technically have the bigger, should have the more vocal advantage here, where it's they should get the title shot before Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Not sure why they got it. But I agree. I think Nia Jax and Shayna retain here. And I think that this will just, I mean, this to me is not even the tag titles are being overshadowed here. Again, it's because of Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. They're trying to fuel this. It's the worst kept secret that this is going to be the match at WrestleMania for sure. And I think that this is going to fuel them. Because again, I can see during this match they're not going to get along. Maybe Sasha and Bianca, they're not going to see eye to eye. Another tag team that doesn't see eye to eye. Oh wow! I mean, we haven't seen that before, but it works here because I mean, this match shouldn't I like the whole thing where they respect each other, but there should be some animosity to make it interesting. And that's what any rivalry really. So I'm cool with it. I just don't want them to win because if they have them win, it's just that stock sort of thing where it's oh, they have the tag titles, but now they can't get along. And they're gonna face each other for the main title. Literally, Sasha Banks was in that same sort of predicament early last year with Bayley. So I'm hoping they don't win. So I'm gonna have Shayna and Nia win, and the reason why being also is I wouldn't think they would have them on NXT the Wednesday prior to size up with the NXT Dusty Cup winners and not have that match. So I'm gonna say Shayna and Nia win.
However, I just now thought of this. Which match sounds more interesting to you? Not based on just championships or anything, just the wrestlers involved. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, or Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair versus Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez.
You want me to be honest with you?
Be 100% honest.
The former, and here's why. Because again, if they didn't have that promo on Wednesday, then maybe it was a different answer. It just doesn't make sense. Why would you size them up on Wednesday when they're not? That's not the team they're going to face in a couple weeks.
Maybe
I just think
they're looking past everybody else. So that could be kind of, and I'm not saying that I want Banks and Belair to win, but I'm saying they can easily play this off as they were looking past Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair and past Naomi and Lana to Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez and could easily get beaten by either of those former two teams. So if they do lose the titles, I'd be mad, but I'd also I'd want to see how they play this off story-wise because they're going to be at WrestleMania and they're going to try and get those tag titles back, but I don't know if they'll get them off of Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez because eventually whoever wins the titles off of Jackson Baszler are going to lose them to Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez on March 3rd.
Yeah. I just don't know, man. I just don't know. I just think it doesn't make sense what they're doing. Because again, if they do win, Banks and Belair, I wouldn't be angry. I would just be like, it just doesn't make sense. You did that because you're putting the titles on a more popular set of superstars. I'm not gonna call them a team because they're not. They're just thrown together. So in that way, I guess I understand. But you had them win pretty recently. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, so now they're gonna take them off. And again, how much more do we want to see of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler as a team? Let them get this run. Let them drop it to a really up and coming team Dakota Kai and especially Raquel Gonzalez. I just don't think that Sasha and Bianca Belair really need the titles to fuel their kind of feud. I think that tonight they can do something where someone hits someone by accident or just something happens where it can fuel it even longer. To the point where we get past Fastlane and we get to WrestleMania. So I guess just to recap, we both think that Nia and Shayna will retain.
Yeah.
That's also what I want to happen too.
Yeah, I want Baszler and Jax to win. I'm just kind of thinking now they have both tag titles for NXT being advertised for March 3rd, which is also the same day that AEW is doing all their big match advertising. Shaq is going to be on TNT. So, and I'm not playing into this whole ratings war thing. I'm just saying creative for WWE might want to have two of their most popular stars on NXT to move people from TNT to USA. I'm not saying that it will happen. I'm just saying that could be the thought process going on in that
point. It's a good point. If they want more people to watch, they'll put arguably their biggest women's wrestler right now, which is Sasha Banks, and an up and coming superstar who already is a superstar and who already is one of the more popular people in Bianca Belair. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. But why did you do it? Why? Then why? You didn't need to have Shayna and Nia on Wednesday. You didn't need to have it. Then, to me, that whole promo, which I thought was great. I thought the segment was great. I thought it spawned a lot of cool things. It just doesn't make sense anymore. This is kind of
wanted to do the whole joke.
Yeah, just the whole
joke on NXT.
Yeah. Oh my god. Whatever. And I don't know. Listen, because here's the thing. That match, that segment made me excited to watch Nia Jax wrestle, and that's not even that's a hard thing to do. Okay, for me, because again, seeing Raquel Gonzalez size up with her, it was awesome. I want to see her body slam her. That would be an awesome thing to see. We'll see though. March 3rd, and we'll see tonight. I mean, maybe the titles will change. Who knows? But we move on. We both think that Shayna and I will retain. We move on to the United States Championship match. It's supposed to be a triple threat as Bobby Lashley defends his title against Matt Riddle and Keith Lee. So they're saying that they might announce that Keith Lee might not be in this match. I mean, he wasn't on the past two Raws, or he was definitely wasn't on last week. Excuse me. And also, they're saying because of some injury concerns, he might not make it. So at the moment, it could be a singles match between Riddle and Lashley, maybe, whatever. But at the moment, it's still a triple threat match for the United States title. And I see no reason to take the title off of Lashley yet. I think the Hurt Business deserve as much gold as possible at the moment because, I mean, with the whole Cedric and Shelton thing, even though that's kind of died down a little bit, I still think them having a lot of gold is the way to go. And I think if Lashley is going to drop the U.S. title, it's going to be at Mania, whether that be to Keith Lee, which I hope it is, or Riddle. But yeah, I just don't see it because, again, even though he looks so strong the past two Raws, he looked strong on the go home show, and that's usually kind of like a sign like maybe the other person will win it. I don't see a reason to at the moment. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Bobby Lashley retains here, and I think it'll be a really good match if they give him the time to do it. Because I mean, Matt Riddle and Keith Lee put on an awesome show a couple weeks ago in a match, and having Bobby Lashley in there, I don't see why that can't be good as well. So I think Bobby Lashley retains here. I would like to see Keith Lee win, but I honestly I just don't see why Lashley should lose it. So what do you think?
Um, I think I might have the same want and think who's going to win, depending on if it's going to be a triple threat match or a single match between Matt Riddle and Bobby Lashley. I think either way it goes, I think Bobby Lashley wins. He's been on a tear recently. He's been booked extremely strong. I don't think he's lost a match in a long time, like a long time. I think going back to like last year, he hasn't lost a match. But if Keith Lee isn't in the match, I think it's pretty much a guarantee that Bobby Lashley retains. If Keith Lee is in the match, I think it becomes a little less likely, but still Bobby Lashley is the overwhelming favorite. I want him to retain the title because I think that one-on-one match between Keith Lee and Bobby Lashley is a WrestleMania worthy match. I think with this loss, Matt Riddle is taken out of the US title picture for now, and it just becomes Keith Lee and Bobby Lashley. So I mean, Keith Lee maybe doing like a handicap match against all three of the other members of the Hurt Business or something. It'll make him look really strong going into WrestleMania against Bobby Lashley, where I do think Keith Lee will win the US title at WrestleMania. So for now, I'm going to say Bobby Lashley. I think Bobby Lashley retains, whether it be a triple threat or a singles match, and I want him to retain if it's a triple threat or a singles match. And if it is a triple threat, I think Matt Riddle takes the pin.
Yeah, I just don't see a reason for Lashley just to drop it at a pay per view like this. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think that setting up a whole one on one feud between Lashley and Lee going into Mania for that U.S. title would be awesome. I would say that Lashley has given a lot of prominence to the U.S. title. And, you know, if you want these titles to be, I wouldn't say almost on the same level, but sometimes like the Intercontinental title used to be on the same level as the World Heavyweight Championship. If you want to get these mid card titles to be on the same level, you put big names in there. And to me, a Lashley and Keith Lee feud would be almost as interesting as the world title feuds, depending on what the matches look like into WrestleMania. So I'd be definitely open for that. So you heard it here first. We both think that Lashley will retain and win. I kind of want Lashley to retain as well, but I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be mad if Keith Lee won. But we both think that Lashley will win here. So we move on to the chamber matches here now, and we'll go ahead and start with the WWE Championship match in the chamber. So it's going to be Drew McIntyre in there defending against Sheamus, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston, and Jeff Hardy, and Sheamus is entering the chamber last. So you go ahead here and start again, JP. Who do you think is going to win here? Is it predictable, like we'll probably say it is, or do you think there's a surprise person in there that will win? And I'll ask you another question, and you'll probably know who I'm referring to. Is one person going to be beat up before the match, and someone will have to take his place?
So I guess I'll answer those questions in order. I think Drew McIntyre will retain. I want Drew McIntyre to retain. I don't think anybody else in the Elimination Chamber match well, see, now I got to answer the question that you said later. Because if Kofi is in the title match, in the chamber, I want Kofi to win. Kofi Mania 2, give me all of that. But if he's taken out by Ali before the match, then I think Ann wants Drew to win. And I think that'd be a smart decision creative-wise. It plays back into the story of New Day versus Retribution. I do think there are going to be a whole lot of shenanigans in this match, whether it be outside interference. Crazy Bliss might be hanging from the top of the chamber, blood coming out of her mouth, and I'm going to have to like go buy a crucifix and like throw it at my TV like a javelin. But I think we definitely see the Fiend again. The Fiend's gonna drag Randy Orton into the depths of hell like Kane did Undertaker, or whoever he did that to. But ultimately, I think Drew wins the title or retains the title. I want Drew to retain the title, but this does kind of create a hole in terms of who's going to face Drew at Mania.
Yeah. So here's what I think. Drew McIntyre, I think, is definitely gonna win this. Do I want him to win? Yes. No, I think. Listen, I love Drew. I think I want him to win. Obviously, I'm a huge AJ Styles fan, but I just don't see the reason to put him on with the title at the moment. I just don't see it. So I'm gonna say Drew McIntyre definitely retains here. And people are saying, well, what if Randy Orton wins and they'll set up Randy Orton and Edge at WrestleMania? Judging by the events of SmackDown, I don't even think Edge wants to face anybody on the Raw side. He wants Roman. But I think that the way that again, like you said, I said this like a couple weeks ago on a Raw show. Like I just like the Fiend is going to show up here in the chamber to screw up Randy Orton. Whether it be in the final two, like he does an RKO on Drew McIntyre, and then the Fiend appears and he just gets mandible clawed or whatever, and then whatever. Or that happens during the match, and a heel sees that and just pins him so he can get the quick victory. But I definitely think he appears. He appears from the ground. He'll come out. He'll do his thing. It'll be amazing to see. Maybe we'll see Bliss in there. I wouldn't be surprised. But well, Sheamus, I guess Sheamus winning would be interesting. To see kind of like I just don't think Drew needs to really drop the title here. I think that Drew's been having a really good reign since the Royal Rumble since WrestleMania last year with the title. I think making it through the Elimination Chamber just shows how good of a champion he really is. I think it would just help him a lot by surviving 5 other guys. So I'm gonna say he wins there. Can Sheamus just win here and go on, and maybe Drew will have to win it back at WrestleMania in front of fans? Maybe. I don't know.
I just forgot about something.
What's up?
The Miz is not in this match.
Right.
Miz has Money in the Bank.
Here we go. See,
there could be a cash in. I'll say it like this. If this match is the main event, there's gonna be some shenanigans. A whole lot of shenanigans. We might see a Miz cash in. We might see Ali take out Kofi. We might see the Fiend come back. And if it's in the main event, I would not be surprised if Randy won the title and the Fiend attacked him.
So Randy would win the title, the Fiend would attack him, and then the Miz would cash in?
No, Miz wouldn't cash in.
You think Randy just wins?
If it's in the main event, I would not be surprised if Randy wins. I want and think Drew's gonna win, but if it's in the main event, I wouldn't be shocked if they gave it to Randy and set up Randy versus the Fiend
for the title.
I guess they've given the Fiend title matches before.
Listen, man.
But I think the whole aspect of the Miz having the Money in the Bank still is a important thing to know, because I don't think he cashes in at Mania. I don't think he cashes in at Fastlane. The next pay-per-view after Mania, I think, is Money in the Bank. So his time is running out to cash it in. And if there's any moment where he could cash in, it's going to be after Drew has been beaten up by the Elimination Chamber. So if this match is the main event, I still think and want Drew to win. I wouldn't be surprised if Randy wins. If this match isn't the main event, I overwhelmingly think Drew will retain. I want Drew to retain, but there could be a cash in.
So, no, listen, I hate to say it, but I would be shocked if the Randy Orton wins and then the Fiend attacks him, and then they're setting up Randy and the Fiend, which they should, right, for Mania, but for the title. I just don't think that makes that much sense, in my opinion. Especially not for the title.
It doesn't, but it's the WWE. And from rumors that I've seen, they don't really have any plans for Drew at the title. And that's been my whole thing as to, in terms of not looking at story-wise, I think Edge and Drew could be a viable option at WrestleMania, because Drew's pretty much beaten everybody in the chamber. And there's no competitors left. So having Edge face him would fill that gap. On SmackDown, you have Daniel Bryan, you have Cesaro, you have Sami Zayn, you have Jey Uso. They could run it back with Jey Uso. Seth Rollins just returned. There's so many more options for whom Roman hasn't faced or hasn't faced in a long time for him to have a match at Mania with. I think story-wise, Edge and Roman makes the most sense. But Raw does not have a lot of talent that Drew hasn't beaten already.
Has he really beaten AJ Styles though?
Yes.
Technically, 1-on-1.
He got thrown through a table, man.
Listen, he was in the TLC match, which the Miz during the match, I mean, cashed in, right? Which made it a triple threat. So, you know, it was all against him. He was in the Gauntlet match, but he fought Kofi for a long time, and this one Drew came in and kind of walled his head off. No, but you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, SmackDown has the bevy of talent, which is why when Seth Rollins got drafted, you know, to SmackDown, I was just like, I mean, SmackDown stacked, that's for sure, but like, I don't know. I maybe Raw needs him more than the need. I mean, I don't know. Drew already did it, but that was only one match. You know, they fought at Money in the Bank. That was his like second title defense after WrestleMania for Drew. So yeah, so we'll see, but I just think Drew's going to retain here, and I think that if they want to play it safe, if you know they don't have to, he doesn't have to defend it Fastlane. They can just wait for Mania. It'll be Sheamus and Drew. I wouldn't mind that at Mania. I mean, if to have Sheamus and Drew, that's like the built-in stuff, the friendship for 20 years. I mean, there's something there. I'm trying to think of anybody else. I mean, they could just bring back Brock Lesnar for the rematch. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think they can waste another year of Money in the Bank. They can't waste it again.
So who won Money in the Bank last year before Miz or before Otis, I should say?
Braun Strowman.
Really? Oh, and he like cashed in for the Hell in a Cell thing, right?
No, he cashed in against he cashed in Roman versus Brock and lost. And this is like the third year in a row that the Money in the Bank hasn't been successful. So it's gonna
here's what I wouldn't mind, because obviously here's the thing. I feel like this Money in the Bank was doomed to begin with. When Otis won it, it was a good moment. But looking forward, I just didn't think that Otis would be a champion. You know, I didn't see him cashing it on Roman Reigns. I didn't see him cashing it, or at the time Braun Strowman when he was the Universal Champion. I don't see him cashing it on. Oh, excuse me. I didn't see him cashing it on Drew McIntyre. So when the Miz got him, like, okay, you bring some more prominence, but then he lost it at TLC, but then now he got it back. To me, like it's been doomed from the begin with. Like I wouldn't mind if after the Chamber match, it's like a John Cena New Year's Revolution 2006 sort of thing, and he's all like, you know, I hope he enters in first, because that to me that would mean like maybe the Miz would actually cash in. And he enters in first.
Continue to tell the story of Drew facing his toughest challenge of having to go through all these former champions. Then the Miz, in typical cowardly heel fashion, after Drew's been bloody, beaten, battered, comes in, wins the title, faces vengeful Drew at Fastlane, and just loses it.
I wouldn't mind that. I mean, to me, like at Fastlane, it would be hard to kind of write that Sheamus would not be in that match, because he's been like, you know, advocating for it. But I wouldn't mind if Drew started first, he goes through 5 other guys, and then he's all, I wouldn't say maybe bloated up, because I mean, I don't know, but like just how like John Cena was, and then who comes out, it's the Miz. I would not mind that at all. I think that'd be great, actually. So, but we both think that Drew will retain here. Or do you want to switch? Do you want to say that Miz will actually?
I think Drew wins.
Okay.
And I also want Drew to win, but there are a lot of outside factors, both story-wise and where they place this match on the card, that could affect like who ends up winning. I think my only 2 or 3, I guess, viable options for winning this title are Drew, Randy, and The Miz. I would rank The Miz ahead of Randy, because I don't think they do Randy versus Fiend for the title. I'm just saying, like, it could happen. There's a small chance it could happen, but I ultimately don't think that feud needs a title. So I think The Miz cashing in and winning is a lot more likely than Randy winning. But if this match is in the main event, there's going to be some shenanigans.
I think so too. I think the way that if I had to rank it, I definitely put Drew McIntyre first. I'd honestly put Sheamus second, and then I put the Miz third. I just don't see a reason for Edge, not for Edge, for Randy Orton to win it, because again, like I definitely doubt if they do because I think they're definitely gonna do a Fiend Randy Orton thing for Mania. I doubt it'll be for the title, and even if he does win, I doubt that Edge would even want to face Randy Orton anymore, just because of what's been happening with Roman. So we both think that Drew McIntyre will retain it, and I don't think he'll cash in, but JP thinks there's a pretty damn good chance that he will cash in at the end there. So that's it for that. So we move on to the last two here, and they obviously go hand in hand. But we'll start off with the Elimination Chamber match to face Roman Reigns right afterwards. They really haven't specified if they said it's like immediately after the match, or it's like the chamber matches in the beginning of the night, and then like the main event is like Roman Reigns versus whoever.
It's gonna do immediately after.
I think knowing Roman Reigns and how much of a heel he is, he's gonna do it right afterwards. So just to name off the names in the chamber match, it is Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Cesaro, Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn, and King Corbin. There's only two viable options here to win this chamber match. And again, Kevin Owens, I kind of don't want him to see this. Here's why. I don't think Kevin Owens is ever going to take the title off of Roman. I just don't think it's possible. They've already faced 3 times. All 3 good matches. Don't get me wrong. TLC was great. That steel cage match they had the SmackDown after was also really good. And then they had the match at Royal Rumble, that last man standing match, which we both really loved. But I just don't see him winning the chamber and then just losing to Roman right afterwards. He'll put up a fight. I just don't see it happening. Here's what I think will happen. The other viable option, and I think we've referenced this a ton of times, and I think it could happen. Cesaro. They've been pushing him so hard as of late, and maybe it's because of the contract expiring. Who knows? But they've been pushing him hard as of late. It's great to see because again, the man deserves it. We've been talking about him. But here's what I think will happen. I think he'll win the chamber. And obviously, I think he'll put on a really good showing against Roman Reigns. So I guess here's what we could do for the predictions. You can say who's going to win the chamber and say what's going to happen at the match afterwards. So I think Cesaro will win this, and I'll be happy to see it. I think he'll put on a great show. I think this chamber will be better than the WWE Championship one. I think, my opinion, because as much as I want to see Daniel Bryan win, because I love Daniel Bryan, you got to do process elimination here. Sami Zayn's not going to win this. King Corbin's definitely not going to win this. No offense to him, but he's not going to win.
See any more Corbin versus Roman.
Like, by the way, if that were to happen, I'd just shut off the TV.
Dog food match.
Corbin winning.
It's a dog food match.
That would be amazing. But yes, that's not happening. Daniel Bryan, it could be. I just don't see it happening by the way that Kevin Owens has been part of the storyline with Roman and how much they've been pushing Cesaro here. So I'm going to go with Cesaro, and I think he puts on a really good showing. However, at the end, when he's facing Roman, I'm not going to say that he's on the verge of winning it. All I'm saying is that Seth Rollins will get involved in this match at the end here. Seth Rollins has been verbally kind of attacking Cesaro as of late, especially that last week where he was saying like he's submitting in a formal letter to WWE, especially Cesaro, who's the one that stayed back. I think him staying back that couple weeks ago was key. And I think this will set up Cesaro and Seth Rollins, whether it be for Fastlane or for Mania. But I think Cesaro finally gets a shot at the title. Now, let me ask you a question, JP. Because I'm thinking that if Cesaro does win the chamber and he gets a shot at the world title, I think that'll be the first world title shot he's ever gotten. I think.
Oh, man. I actually think that's correct. Outside of the Money in the Bank matches that he's had, which I don't really know if that counts. This is the first world title match he would get.
Which is crazy, obviously, and people want him to win, obviously. So, yeah, I'm going to say he wins, and I think the final 2 maybe will be him and Kevin Owens. Who knows? But and also Jey Uso's in the match, which, I mean, they could have run that back, but I don't see a reason to split the bloodline up, especially when I think Jimmy will come back, and that'll be awesome. So, I'm going to go ahead and say that Cesaro wins this, and I'm going to say that Cesaro loses to Roman Reigns, but not clean, just because of how Seth Rollins will probably interfere and set up that kind of feud even more. So JP, what do you think? Who do you think will win? Who do you want to win? Any shenanigans that might happen? What do you think?
Oh man, this is honestly tough because I see four legitimate options to win this chamber. Um, like I said, Cesaro been on a tear. I think he and Roman would tear it up in the ring one on one. The way they've been pushing him, I definitely see as a viable option. Daniel Bryan is a very viable option. You can also play into the fact that he's kind of hinted at he might not be wrestling any longer, and he could be like kind of a pseudo edge where this is one of his last shots. He's going to make another run for it. And also with the match with Roman, you could play into that history behind the whole 2015 peak of the yes movement. Roman, I think it was 2015 or 2017, Roman eliminates Daniel Bryan from the Rumble, ending that chorus of boos. But now you kind of you come back to that. Kevin Owens, very viable option. I think with him always saying like he's never going away, he's always going to be looking for Roman and hunting him down. I think he is another viable option for them to have a fourth match. I think that match ends quicker than the others. Well, actually, not all the others, but the fourth option is Jey Uso, who is a very viable option, and I'll explain why. They could just finger poke a doom it. They could just straight up Roman pokes Jey Uso, falls down for him, gets the pin, the win. Bloodline stands tall at the end, which would then piss Edge off because he feels like Roman isn't taking this seriously, and that sets up Roman versus Edge at Mania. I feel like if they wanted to play out the story a lot more, they could do that. Which leads me all to say, I think Jey Uso wins. I think Jey Uso wins the chamber. I don't think Cesaro wins because I think there's going to be shenanigans involving Seth Rollins. I think if he doesn't interfere before the match, he's going to interfere during the match. I don't think he interferes if Cesaro wins. He doesn't interfere in the match between Cesaro and Roman because you obviously want Roman to stand tall at the end of the pay-per-view. And that opened up a whole nother thing where what if Seth attacks Roman and Cesaro? Does that put Seth in the world title picture immediately? Where does that leave Edge? Nobody knows. I don't think Kevin Owens is very likely to win this because, like you said, they've had 3 other matches before. Honestly, my two most realistic options are Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso. I think the story is there with Daniel Bryan. He's going for one last run, maybe. He's hinted at he might not be wrestling anymore. He's had banger matches with Cesaro, bangers with Kevin Owens. This could be him returning back to that yes movement Daniel Bryan, where maybe he enters first and has to outlast everybody. Jey Uso, I mean, it's already there. The bloodline protecting Roman by Jey winning that match and then having an agreement set up to where Jey's just going to take the fall for him. But they could go the other way and have Jey say, no, I'm not taking the fall for you. I want to win the title. And they could go through a whole match. But, oh man, this sets up a whole lot of people who I want to win now.
So here's just a recap, right? I think Cesaro will win. JP thinks so. You're locking in Jey Uso as your
I am
prediction.
locking in Jey Uso as my prediction.
That's awesome. I mean, listen, if they want to set up Roman as this just kind of certified, he's already been certified, but to keep on with his heel shenanigans and heel tactics, having kind of like an NWO type way of having like Kevin Nash take the pin for Hulk Hogan in the title match and stuff like that, I think that'd be great. So I would like to see it. I just think, man, or here, I would more like to see, obviously, like maybe like Jey Uso. He says let Jey get on the ground, so like pin you or whatever, and he does like he switches to like a roll up, and he's like, what are you doing, Jay? And then they get into a match. I think that'd be great as well. But I don't know, man. I just think that sabotaging, like, because I think Cesaro win is, I think sabotaging Cesaro in the title match for Seth Rollins will even fuel that feud even more than just kind of like interfering in the chamber match. Because I have no idea how Seth Rollins will be interfered in the chamber match. Because again, it's like a big structure. I don't know. They could find a way. I don't know. Um, I just think that, to give everybody what they want, which maybe that's the reason why I'm not gonna get this prediction, is because WWE has a problem with that maybe. Um, I just think they've been pushing Cesaro so hard for a reason. At least have him win this chamber match. Um, but I can see that they don't want to kind of overshadow anything with Roman with another feud behind it. They want to have Roman stand tall on his own. Even though
But
I feel like all of
Edge
his wins have
challenge.
been kind of, heelish, but
But see, if there are going to be a lot of interferences in the WWE Elimination Chamber match, I don't think there are going to be any for the Universal title. So it's going to go one way or the other. And if there
and
are
I think
interferences, I think Cesaro's chances of winning go a lot higher. I
yeah.
I still think Jay is going to win just for that story. But in terms of who I want to win, oh man, I'm gonna go Kevin Owens. I want Kevin Owens to win. I've said on this show, Kevin Owens is my spirit animal. He is me. I am him. He is everything who I aspire to be. It's a big
How
dude,
can you
punches people and swantons off of forklifts.
how can you want Kevin Owens to win you when you know he's gonna get beat down later?
Because he's gonna keep getting back up. Because he's
But I'm
insane.
tired of it already.
I'm not.
I'm tired of this grandma, that clip. I'm just tired of it already.
That's dude.
I'm tired of this. Yeah. So here's what so who I want to win is Daniel Bryan, because he's my favorite out of everybody in that rank in the chamber match. I would love to see him win it. I mean, I love to see him, pull that underdog story and beat Roman. That would be great. But I just don't see how Roman loses the title
Then that
at
would set
all,
up Daniel Bryan versus Roman at WrestleMania.
which
That
I would
would
love.
have Edge versus Drew. There's so many good options on SmackDown for this Mania match.
There is.
I think Edge has the best story, and I think that's the match they're going to make. But
Because, I mean,
it's going to leave a huge hole on Raw.
No, exactly. I mean, you said it yourself. I mean, because people have been saying that Edge and Edge and Roman is the money match, which I completely agree. But I thought that Edge and Drew makes a lot of more sense too, and it because of what you said. It's because Raw is kind of deflated of talent, or more so deflated of people that Drew has already built.
That's the thing.
So putting him against Edge would be great. But here's what I think. I think Edge leaves WrestleMania with a title, and who would get hurt worse by losing the title? To me, would be Drew, because right now Roman, he's already secured a spot in the WWE as a top guy. To me, if someone's gonna afford a loss, it's gonna be Roman Reigns. But Drew McIntyre, they're still setting him up to be on the same level as Roman because he's not at the moment. So I think that's probably what they might do.
I think Roman loses at WrestleMania. That's the thing. I don't think he loses.
Edge.
I don't think Roman loses. This Roman will probably not lose for a really long time. This version of Roman Reigns will not lose for a long time, which is why I think Drew might be more suited to take a loss at Mania, especially to Edge, because then you could run it back with vengeful Drew going up.
You could. No, you could.
Edge. I don't think Roman loses at Mania, especially because one, he wasn't on Mania last year. Two, there's gonna be fans there. Three, they've booked Roman to be unbeatable. I don't think he loses at Mania. I know it's Edge. I know we all want him to win a title.
If it's gonna be anybody,
loses at Mania.
If it's gonna be anybody beating Roman, it has to be Edge. But I agree though.
True. That's also true. If anybody beats Roman, it's Edge. But I don't think Roman loses, which is so tough because I want Edge to leave Mania with a title. I don't think it's going to be against Roman. I think they have glued that title to his shoulder with Gorilla Glue. It's gone. He's going to have that title for the longest time.
Yeah, but again, which I mean I agree. Listen, like it really because again the story for Edge in his quest to get back the title it's already built in. You know, 9 years out of wrestling, coming back at the Royal Rumble. Um, him and Randy have that match at Backlash. He tears his triceps. He comes back. He wants the title he's never lost. And to me, the Universal title is almost equivalent to the World Heavyweight title, kind of. So, but again, whoever it is, like I've said, I think Edge leaves Mania with the title, whichever it is. I mean, I don't think it's the NXT title as much as I would like to see him face Finn Balor. That'd be great.
Yeah, I don't think it's NXT. The way
It's not
they've
going to
been,
be because
the way
of
they've been
looking at
booking
what's happening recently. So it's going to, yeah.
I just don't know. It's going to be such a tough decision to make because, again, like, I really do not think Roman loses at Mania. I think also Raw isn't devoid of talent. It's just devoid of people that Drew hasn't beaten. Or it just doesn't have a lot of people that Drew has faced. I mean, we haven't seen Andrade Almas in a long time. He's beaten AJ Styles already. Um, he's beaten Sheamus, or I don't know if he's beaten Sheamus. I don't know if they want to do Sheamus. He's beaten Randy Orton multiple times. And plus, Randy Orton's got a fiend size thing on his shoulder. Jeff Hardy, I mean, I don't know if I want to see Jeff Hardy in a WWE title match. But I mean, Jeff Hardy is going to do something absolutely crazy, and you could use that at Mania. He's going to jump off the pirate ship at Raymond James, and I'm going to lose my mind. But I mean, and the last person, I wouldn't mind seeing Kofi, but I don't know if Kofi's even going to make it to the ring.
Probably not.
Retribution attacks. I mean, Miz, I don't know, because he's beaten the Miz already.
Again, there's a lot of options they can do here. And again, we're not even past this pay-per-view yet, and anything can happen here. So just to kind of recap all of our predictions.
I just thought of something crazy.
Oh no. I saw the light bulb flash. What happened?
Right. Hear me out. Bobby Lashley loses the title either now or at Fastlane. The one person that Drew hasn't beaten consistently on Raw is Bobby Lashley.
True. I mean, the one time he
Bobby
did beat
Lashley
him
versus Drew McIntyre at Mania with the Hurt Business all there. That'd be like, it's not Brock, but Bobby Lashley's as close to Brock Lesnar as WWE is getting right now. And personally, I still want to see that. Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. I mean, come on.
everybody wants to see that. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, they had that match of Backlash with Drew and Bobby, and that was actually a really good match. And you know, Lana interfered at the end. Remember that? But I wouldn't mind that as well. But again, going through the predictions like we did, so when it started with the Raw Women's title, I thought that Asuka will face Peyton Royce and she'll win. JP thinks that Asuka will face Charlotte Flair and win. For the SmackDown Women's Champion, not SmackDown, but the tag team title match for the women's side. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, we both think will beat Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks with some shenanigans, most likely. For the United States triple threat match, at the moment, it's a triple threat match. We think that Bobby Lashley will retain. For the WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match, we both think Drew will win. And JP thinks that possibly The Miz will cash in after that. And then for the SmackDown Chamber match, I think Cesaro will win, and he'll lose against Roman afterwards with some interference from Seth Rollins. JP thinks that Jey Uso will win. And do you think he'll take the pinfall, or do you think he'll fight back?
I think he takes the pin.
Okay. And then so that's what he thinks. And obviously, I want Daniel Bryan, and I think you said you wanted Kevin Owens, right?
I want Kevin Owens because he is my spirit animal.
There you go. So that's our predictions. Again, Elimination Chamber is tonight. And again, a weird card. but we'll see how it transpires and how that possibly set up, the rest of the road to WrestleMania. So that's gonna do it for us. Again, look back at our past episodes. We did we recapped the past week in wrestling. Check it out. We talked about explosive barbed wire death matches. It was a fun episode. Check it out. It's on YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, subscribe. It's on Spotify. Follow us there, on Anchor, wherever you listen to podcast. You can find me at Zach Weinberger on Twitter, Zach with an H, WEIMBERGER. We both write for University Press at UPress Online, write for the Ford, and just check us out. Also do a pod with Jacob Brown, the Nerd Pod too. You can find it on Twitter. And JP's Twitter's at Acosta 32 underscore JP.
On it. You are on a roll. This is Goldberg streak, WCW.
Right.
But yes, I am at Acosta 32 underscore JP. I write for the University Press. I write for Big Cat Country, where I write about the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm also on the University Press podcast. I'm the host of the Press Play Sports. Definitely going to be having a lot of fun topics to talk about. But I'm pretty chill on Twitter. You can follow me. John Cena thinks I'm pretty cool. So I still haven't gotten that like from Sergeant Slaughter. So that's gonna be the one thing I'm looking for next.
Absolutely. And again, definitely look out for that sports FAU pod. I mean, we had a player, Cale Pendleton, yesterday, hit 2 grand slams, first 2 college at bats, went on Sports Center and everything. That's good to see from FAU. But that's going to do it for us here at Yell in a Cell. Again, support us. Send us in questions. DM us. The DMs are open. Comments, we'll answer everything. We'll make it a possible, video. We'll do the tier list. We'll do everything, we want to. It's going to be a fun time. So, and also follow us throughout Twitter tonight when we'll talk about Chamber. We'll give our thoughts. We'll see what happens. If Ric Flair is the new Raw Women's Champion, we'll tweet about it and we'll talk about it.
I will curl up and die if Ric Flair is the Raw Women's Champion, because
you manifested it.
I did. I manifested this. I deserve all of the blame. If it happens, I will accept that 100%.
I swear, if I hear his music, I'm gonna freak out. I would just be like, oh no. But that's gonna do it for us. Have a good day, and we'll see you guys later.